Kia ora and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week Drink Along. I'm Joe.
I'm Luke.
And this is 8 Wired's Citrus Maxima, a hoppy American wheat beer.
Let's drink it.
Yeah, tell us about American wheat beer.
American wheat beers, they've been around for a little while. They were really popular in sort of the 80s and 90s, the whole American brew pub movement, when a lot of these brewers got really inspired by these European beers, most primarily British pale ales. But also some of the Belgian styles and different kinds of wheat beers. Cheers, Joe.
Cheers.
So they took wheat beer and made it their own. And so wheat beer isn't a style, it's a whole family of beers. So you have things like Hefeweizen, you've got Belgian Wits, you've got Saisons, and these days you've got New England IPAs that are very wheaty beers.
A lot of wheat.
So the American wheat, basically, it's the same as a Hefeweizen, fermented with a clean yeast. So something like Chico 05, just a clean ale yeast, and made hoppier. If anything has the word American in it related to beer, generally that just means it's a hoppier version than the European counterpart. So American wheat beer, you've got no esters, banana, clove, all that sort of character, phenols. It's all about the hop character. And lots of wheat for body and for mouthfeel, of which this beer has some decent mouthfeel.
It does, yeah, nice mouthfeel. I called it a hoppy American wheat. They call it a citrus American wheat, because on that first sip, it's a very limey, kind of zesty aroma and flavour, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a hoppy beer. You're getting some bitterness at the end. Kind of dry, keeps you coming back for more swigs, but it really is that at the forefront is that lime character.
Yeah, I would guess.
I had a look at the can before, but it doesn't say what the.
Yeah, well, the colours suggest lemon and lime as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so sort of hop wise, I guess you would think there's Citra, Motueka. Those are sort of lemon lime hops, aren't they?
Yeah, like forced to guess.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put much money on my guess. But
No.
let's see if I was. Yeah, kind of hard to tell when there's just a lot going on, because you have got the flavour and the character of the wheat, and obviously the citrus addition is the major thing. So there's hoppiness, but yeah, for me it's despite having drank quite a lot of beers, I couldn't put my finger on what hops are in it.
Is that a thing? Obviously it's a thing adding sort of lime to Corona.
Yeah.
Is it anywhere in the world they add lemon to wheat beer or anything like that? I think
yes, there is, Joe.
Shock Top.
I feel like I could just set you up with that question to ask me about in the 14th century the Netherlands.
Oh God. Sorry, viewers.
So that's where wit beer comes from, and traditionally that was made with coriander and with different kinds of orange. So citrus is a really traditional addition in wit beers. Yeah, that's the 1300s when the Dutch had the spice islands and the trading routes, and they got all these spices and fruit that we think of as being relatively exotic for being around in the Middle Ages, basically. But they were just clear motorway routes to the east. So yeah, back in those days, hops were sometimes used in beer, often not. You had lots of groots and different kinds of weeds and herbs, and lots of citrus would have been used. And that's a thing that sort of continued and obviously was picked up on by the Americans in the 80s and 90s, and has come through to, well, I suppose we talked a bit before about Pierre Calisse and starting Hoegaarden, and in America Blue Moon very famously is a citrusy American wheat beer, and Hoegaarden is often served with a big massive wedge of orange in the side of the glass.
I thought I'd heard of it somewhere.
Yeah, in America especially. Yeah, I don't know if I drank Shock Top. I can picture the artwork.
Yeah, I drank it on a ferry in Boston or New York.
Yeah.
It was the best of the options, but...
Yeah, better than an American light lager, I'm sure. So yeah, definitely citrus goes back a long way in wheat beers. And just having the body of the wheat, especially when you are getting rid of the yeast character, it is a nice platform for other flavours. So you can kind of use it as a bit of a base and do all sorts of things, the way that a lot of people use, I suppose, kettle sours or stouts to have lots of adjuncts. So yeah, I suppose if wheat beers were more popular, we would see lots more variety. Perhaps we'll see more coming through, people doing more interesting adjuncts. But a really good base for hops. Because we were chatting before about, what were the earliest Cloudwater dippers that you had? Did you have those first?
Yeah, V1 and everything, yeah. And you said those were wheat beers.
Yeah, I had an interview with, what's his name? Paul? The founder of head brew of Cloudwater. So yeah, listened to him on a podcast a while ago, and he said that V1 dipper, which is really what just kicked off New England IPAs in Britain, that was really caused huge waves, and they just released V2, V3, so it was a series, the same as we've seen with like Garage Project Fresh or 802 here in New Zealand, but this was many years beforehand, and they just caused such hype every time they got released, and there were just these thick, full-bodied, super hoppy American wheat beers that were fermented with an ale yeast, and that was sort of London fog that really helped with the body, but just putting tons and tons of hops in there. So yeah, beers like this are very much linked to this modern trend of hazes. And yeah, as I say, the body works as a good platform for hops and other flavours. Yeah. But not your favourite beer style? American wheat?
I do enjoy them, but no, I wouldn't say it's my favourite. I think sometimes you get that sort of slight doughiness from wheat, and that's not a character I always enjoy. But
yeah.
I think this is a good example. Nice and light. It's been, a pretty warm day. So yeah, good to have these kind of beers on hand. But my favourite type of wheat beer is one we have coming up in this box.
Yeah, watch this space. And 8 Wired, one of our favourite breweries. That's Soren and Monique, who kicked off over 10 years ago. So they're up in, the tap room is Warkworth.
Tap room is in Matakana.
Matakana, yeah, and the brewery's in Warkworth. You can't really visit the brewery, but it's a really cool place, full of barrels and interesting stuff going on. But the tap room is called the Barrel Works, so they've relocated a bunch of barrels there. Really nice place to visit, and obviously Matakana is a lovely place. They've got the markets, nice walks around there, good food, so definitely a really cool place to go and visit. Ideally if you're not driving, because they have all manner of delicious imperial things to enjoy. Lots of boozy beers, but whenever a new 8 Wide beer comes out, for me it's always a cause for excitement. More so when they're beers that are not pale ales and IPAs. Like, they do excellent IPAs and pale ales, but for me it definitely is when they're coming out with a Scotch ale or a Best Bitter or something that's more,
or anything in a bottle that they do.
Heck yeah. You've got a few of those in your collection, right?
I do. I actually visited the Barrel Works to pick some up two and a bit years ago.
Yeah.
I have all manner of fruited sours and so on from their library. But yeah. Frigiel always been a highlight every year. Yeah, it is. That's probably the only time I consume Frigiel. Not a fan of the fruit.
So divisive. Yeah.
But I love that beer. It really comes across nice.
What other news do we have?
What other news? Fresh Hop is approaching.
You're working hard on that.
Yeah, so putting a box together. It's very scattered release dates this year. So just
annoyingly for us.
Yeah, so it used to be quite easy 3-4 years ago even. Just everyone released beer the same week, and you just pick and send them all out, and they're not in supermarkets, and the hype isn't dying. So. The reason behind that is kind of good, I suppose. It is that there are now more hop farms and independent hop growers around New Zealand. So there are just different dates for harvesting. So different releases. But yeah, just say we're the guys that put together a box of fresh hop beers every year. And it's kind of annoying when we dispatch the box, because we can only send it as soon as we got the last beer. Yeah. And some of the beers might have been out 3 or 4 weeks, and people have bought them at Pack and Save. Yeah, some that I want are already out.
Yeah.
Some that I want aren't out until the end of April.
Yeah.
So it's a 5-6 week window for people to kind of lose the hype and get their fill. But it's going to be an amazing box.
Do buy our
really
box.
Cool. Yeah. Sorry, it's doom and gloom, but it's going to be a cool box.
Fucking Pack and Save. Support your mates, Joe and Luke. Oh my god. And a lot of the beers you are not going to be able to find at New World because they're really small batches. So we've got like the Hallertau, what I'm really excited about, Black Pilsner.
Yeah, that's really cool. They actually have a mini hop farm over in, where is it? Cumu?
Yeah, Riverhead.
Yeah.
At the brewery out west.
Yeah, so they have their own hop blend that's gone into that beer that they've grown themselves, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a small batch.
Other things, a beer style I've never heard of from Kereru.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. I'm looking forward to
Southpaw
that.
one. You're not going to be seeing that around.
Yeah, Southpaw. It's shaping up to be an awesome box. And we're finalising the Auckland Fresh Hop event as well, in collaboration with our mates at Galbraith's Ale House and Lumsden Free House. So lining up some kegs for each of us, and yeah, it'll be a big day. Food truck here.
Yeah. Look out online for that. But book it in your calendars. That's going to be a big Saturday. And fresh IPAs. We've just sent out a load of those subscription boxes, right?
Yeah. So we do a really cool subscription called the Fresh IPA subscription, or the Hopheads monthly box. It's now called. Suggestion from someone, and I didn't feel any other way about it, so that's what it's called.
Thanks, Jens.
Yeah. So we obviously would love to buy every IPA, but we don't. But there's so many IPAs getting released every month, so we put a box of 10 of them together. Well, 5 of them. You get 2 of each beer, and we send it out. So we send it out in the sort of first or second week. It's usually the second week of the month, and it's all beers that were canned in the last month. So super fresh, tasting amazing. A mix of sort of classics that you might see and you've had a year ago and you loved it, but you don't know when it's fresh. So we get the fresh batches and get them in that box, and some cool releases. That's a pretty amazing subscription. $89 delivered.
So
$8.90 per beer.
And they're beers
to your door.
If you do see them in countdown, they're $11, $12,
and
ours are fresh.
Yeah, you're getting 6 months old beer. So.
Kept in our big fridge, and that was a thing we've been doing for a few years now, and it just came about from discussions with people talking about just standing in a shop and looking at the date codes in the bottom of the can, and just for a lot of beer drinkers, they would only buy seasonal IPA releases because they knew that they've only been out a week or so because they saw them on Instagram. So you wouldn't bother buying core range because supermarkets don't store the beer cold. They keep them in warehouses. Do you think the warehouses at back are refrigerated? They're in like a fridge to display, which isn't that cold. So beer does deteriorate, and if it has been sitting around for a while, it's not great. Stuff doesn't get turned.
No.
So these beers, they come in, hit our fridge, they go out in the subscription, and you can also buy the box as a one-off, which is a little bit more expensive than the subscription.
It's just add shipping.
Yeah, it's an extra few dollars the cost of shipping. We don't get that for free. All about hops.
Yeah.
Nice work, 8 Wide. Cheers for joining us. Cheers, Joe.
Cheers. See you next week.